home. Have you heard the news? It's probably been twisted to keep the general population conflicted. Better lick your finger and turn the page. Dissect the lines that made you to rage. Get out of your Monday drudgery. Turn up the volume on front page fuckery. Yeah.
And I'm back, baby. Woo! It's me, Kelechi, the baby girl, aka Mother of London, back for another episode of Front Page Fuckery. That's right, where we turn bad news into good conversation. And welcome back, or welcome. If you're new to me, well, let's fucking go, okay? Let's just get right into the things. Why am I so elated? First of all, I want to say, I think I wore this for my other podcast, Meet Me at the Altar. I'm wearing like a burgundy, whatever color you want to call it, deep dark red, something hoodie from Gymshark. It's from, I think it's called Cozy Luxe or something. And it's actually cozy. So I've just been I've been wearing it. I recorded my other podcast in it the other day, and now I'm recording this one in it. And yes, it's cozy. And also my office is cold. But I feel like if I spend another week complaining about this place, you will come and fight the people for me. I know that. But yeah, anyway, let's just get into what we're here to do, which is, the news headlines. I've got quite a few newspapers with me today. So yeah, we're going to go into that. But before we do that, let's get into my news. And my news is that I managed to get the bath salts ready. I'm very proud of myself. So I've already kind of scheduled it because I want it to launch after Mercury Retrograde, or Mercury's in micro braids, but we'll be talking about that later as well. So my spirit salts, as I like to call them, one for protection, one for peace, and one for money drawing, will be out on December 5th, midnight London time. I'm being very specific about that. Midnight London time. I don't know what time zone that is in you lot's ends, but it's midnight London time on my website, kelechiokafor.com. And yeah, you can get into my salts. And I'm really proud of myself because that took a lot of work, but that's what we're here to do. I do this physical stuff in terms of going through the day-to-day bits or the week-to-week bits regarding the news. And then I do my spiritual stuff because the spiritual is political, Anyway, so that's one thing. My other thing was I finished the second draft of my manuscript. So I'm writing a novel. Can't tell you too much about it because the publishers that I'm doing it with, or the publisher that I'm doing it with, they haven't announced it. But I don't blame them. You can't blame people when you are a year out from delivering, like I'm a year late from, for delivering this particular manuscript. But hey, now wait a minute. The world has been crumbling. So all of you people that like to chase people down for deadlines, ask yourself, what about sunshine? What about rain? I don't even know if those are the lyrics, but please, do you understand? Ooh, 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 ooh. That's my life. Yeah? Do you get it? I just need to find two barren trees to hold on to in the middle of Burgess Park to really drive the point home. The world has been beating my fucking ass. But, and in the midst of that, I had, my books are here. You can't really see some. Well, Edge of Here is here. Awakened is here. Strong Like Me is here. 3 books in as many years. Please forgive. Please forgive. So yeah, I had a lot on. So I was a year late delivering this particular novel, but I'm on to the second draft. Well, I've handed in the second draft, and I handed it on time as well. The first thing was actually getting the first draft in. That was the ass beating, getting the first draft of the novel in, and then now I've gotten the second one in. And in the email that my editor sent, she was like, "Oh, This is so wonderful, and thank you so much for getting it in on schedule. And I thought, I know that's not shade, but it feels like shade because, girl, I was late on like a year out. But anyway, I feel like I can laugh again. Can you really hear the way that the laugh is entering into my heart? I can laugh deeply again because let me tell you something. Having a deadline is the worst thing ever. I don't like being told what to do. So having a deadline absolutely rumbles my amygdala. Ha! It messes with my medulla oblongata. Because what do you mean? I've got to answer to somebody. Yeah. But yeah, it's hard. So you're out with friends, you're having a good time. And then, oh, sorry, my eyes twitching. Yeah, you're out with friends having a good time. And then it's like, oh, I can't even laugh too much. I can't even enjoy too much because work is waiting for me at home. Other people, rice is waiting for them at home. But for me, thousands and thousands of words are waiting to be written on a keyboard, into a screen, onto a document of 0101 binaries. Yeah. It's been a time, I tell you, love. It's been an absolute time. But yeah, I can laugh again. Breathe again. Oh my God. So, but that, as those of you who write know, that's just the first draft. I'm sorry, that's just the second draft. I've got a third draft that I'll need to hand in to make sure that it meets the requirements of the publisher, and then hopefully we could be looking at a little something in 2026. We could be looking at a little something. There are other publishers, though, that I'm working with that we should have been looking at a little something 2025, 2026. But looks like that's going to be 2027. But you know what? Everything happens when it's meant to. So if the world is still intact in 2027, you might get another book then as well for a different age range. But then I've got to still write Awaken 2. Nah, life is actually a joke. From somebody who didn't consider themselves to be a writer to every Ross Clark, Bomber Clark year, I've got to have something handed in and delivered. But I can't complain too much because obviously they pay me, you know. But by the time the money's sweet when it first arrives, and then the money goes, and then you've still got to write. Oh my God. Oh my God. It has been a lot, but I'm really, really proud of myself for even doing it because life is really lifing for so many of us right now, myself included. But I keep showing up because at the end of the day, if this is a simulation, baby, my avatar is not going out sad. I'm going to figure things out one way or another. You see it. As a treat to myself, though, for finishing the draft and handing it in, I watched all of Severance. 2 seasons they've got, right? It got to a middle bit. I already knew that thing, by the way. If you watch it, I already knew that thing. I guessed it. From when I didn't hear the ping of the elevator in one of the episodes, I knew Wagwan. So I was on it like Irving. Anyway, it got to a particular point in season 2 that I had to actually type into the search engine known as Google A. Is it Mark Scout? I had to type in, is Mark Scout an idiot? It was vexing me. I mean, the innie Mark Scout. But then I had to check myself and be like, you know what? We only know through consciousness, we only know the existence that we know. So we're going to fight for the world that we know, not for a perceived world. You know, like imagine an alternate me walks into this room right now while I'm recording. I wish I had the techers. I wish I had the techers to do this on screen. But imagine a second me walks in right now and she goes, oh, hey, Kalechi girl, by the way, you need to kill such and such. That's not what happened, so you don't start shouting spoiler alert. But you need to kill such and such because that's what guarantees that I continue to live in the world that I'm in. Girl, you want me to commit a crime? Is it a crime? Yes. Sade, yes. Yeah. So I don't know you in your alternate universe, in your alternate world, but you want me to do something that would severely disrupt my world to keep yours going? Oh, baby, I don't know about that. And this is what I love about me, you know? appreciation session, you've been able to, those Libra scales, weigh things up. But I did actually type in, is Mark Scout an idiot? And I saw that other people were having the same discussion for season 2. So, you know, looking forward to season 3. Very much looking forward to it. But again, big up, is it Tremel Tillman? That must be his name, Mr. Milchick, that plays the character Mr. Milchick. You are the Don of all Dons. Like, your acting techers, unmatched. Sickening. The paperclip scene, sickening. Somebody send this to him right now and let him know you are that guy. In case nobody has let you know today, you, my friend, are that guy. Acting, mwah. Mwah riskico. So yeah, I've enjoyed that. That's finished. Because things feel a teeny bit quieter for me, because I'm not going to stress out my head, I haven't moved on to working on the next manuscript that I need to work on. So I've been watching Slow Horses. I'm glad that there are quite a few seasons for me to kind of work through as well, but I am enjoying Slow Horses. I didn't think I would, but then I really enjoyed Line of Duty by Jed Mercurio. Line of Duty was sick. Art imitating life, actually, because the police are corrupt, but we'll get into that again rather shortly. Interesting, yeah, but we will get into that. But yeah, I thought, let me try out a new show. Slow Horses is my vibe. I haven't gone back to the morning show, like I said. I will do. I was enjoying Loot, but I think the writing feels a bit, I'm not too sure. No offense if you're one of the writers for Loot. Yeah, I guess there are more things to watch, but I haven't been watching them yet. Real Housewives of Atlanta, I had something to say about that, like the Grenada season that I watched most recently wasn't great, but we move. I'm glad Phaedra is back, but Nene will always be that girl. It's not quite the same without Nene. I'm actually glad that Kenya got kicked out in the season that I just watched, the Grenada one. But everyone seems to be a bit of a mess. I haven't watched Potomac in ages. I've never watched Salt Lake City, I don't think, and I've never watched New York or Beverly Hills of the Real Housewives. People say Real Housewives of London is good. I don't know if I would agree. I haven't watched it. So there are numerous things for me to check out. But again, who knows how long this stint of watching TV will last. I can give up on it at any time because my brain is so much more interesting to me than watching things on TV. So yeah, I just thought I'd share that. What else did I want to share with you? Oh, I mean, I did want to say about Severance, actually, the visuals of and the fetishization of East Asian women. And there was a particular scene at the end of the season that I thought was a bit mad in terms of reinforcing the narrative of white women being central to what and who is fought for. But maybe no one needs my dissertation on that right now, but it's been in my head, actually. And into good news, Tim Westwood was in court for charges and is out on bail. That's not such good news. I just hope that he would go into court for charges and they'd bury him under the jail. But he's back in court on the 8th of December, which is beautiful because Mercury will be out of retrograde. And I hope that that's the beginning of something that means that he's dealt with, instead of him to be using his freedom pass. And I read that he had to fly back from Nigeria as well. Nigeria, stop harboring criminals. Try that. Anyway, let's see what it says here about Timothy Westwood. Tim Westwood appears in court charged with RAPE and sexual assault. Trigger warning for the girls. Former BBC DJ, 68. You are 60, Ross Clark, 8 years old. 68. Will return to court next month to face 15 charges relating to 7 women. The former BBC DJ Tim Westwood, and it's funny that they keep saying former BBC DJ Tim Westwood because he worked for Global afterwards, right? Like Capital, didn't he? Capital Extra or Capital something something. So why aren't they linking it to him? I know that he was at BBC. I think he was at the BBC for longer. But also because of the BBC's history for harbouring pedos, I can see why it's better linked to them really. Anyway, the former BBC DJ Tim Westwood has appeared in a central London court after being charged with rape and sexual assault. During a brief hearing at Westminster Magistrates Court on Monday, the 68-year-old was told he must return to Southwark Crown Court in December to face 15 charges relating to 7 women, including 3 charges of indecent assault at the BBC studios in the 1990s. Aha! The charges include 4 counts of RAPE, with counts of sexual assault and 9 counts of indecent assault. Wearing dark trousers and a dark grey shirt. I'm surprised he wasn't wearing baggy trousers and, you know, an academic's hoodie, you know. Westwood spoke only to confirm his name, date of birth, which is large, and address. The former BBC DJ, who returned to the UK from Nigeria last week, was not required to enter pleas to any of the charges and was granted conditional bail. The Chief Magistrate, Paul Goldspring, granted Westwood bail on one condition, that he did not contact prosecution witnesses. Westwood will next appear at Southwark Crown Court for a plea and trial preparation hearing on 8th of December. What's the address of Southwark Crown Court? It would be so interesting if we were all there on the 8th of December. I'm not saying we should be, but if anybody happened to be around, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? Shouting, "Get grandpa, yeah, baby," in jail. But I don't know if that's allowed, because they'll be like, oh, that's obstructing the course of justice. Meanwhile, the course of justice has been obstructed left, right, and centre for how many centuries? Anyway, the CPS has previously stated that the offences involve 7 women and are said to have taken place between 1983, 3 years before I was born. This man has been raping from before I was born. Just lift the floor of the jail and put him under it. From 1983, between 1983 and 2016. So what was it? Was it COVID that calmed him down? I don't even think he got calmed down. He just started being in Nigeria and Ghana, all them places, them times, so he could get away with things. What does it say here? Westwood is alleged to have raped a woman at a London hotel in 1996 and sexually assaulted another woman at a music festival in the city about 20 years later. Charges include an indecent assault in London in 1983 and the indecent assault of a woman in the same city between 1984 and 1985. He has also been charged with a rape in a London hotel in 1996, as well as 3 charges of indecent assault in the same year at BBC Studios. Further charges include the rape of a woman in London in 2010 and the sexual assault of a woman in Stroud, Gloucestershire. Westwood has previously said he strongly denies all allegations of inappropriate behaviour. The most recent alleged offence was the sexual assault of a woman at a London music festival in 2016. Westwood began his career on local radio before joining Capital Radio in London. He became one of the UK's best-known names in hip-hop after hosting BBC Radio 1's first rap show in 1994. He left the BBC after 20 years in 2013, later hosting a regular show on Capital Extra, which he left in April 2022. Yeah, see? But I guess because he was at the BBC for longer, they would say, and that's where that was the height of when he was really doing his atrocities, I imagine, because he had to calm down once he got fired from there. But then no, because he left the BBC after 20 years in 2013, and even in 2016, he was still fondling the gal dem. Oh, I want your last year, baby, to be in this 2025. You must not. No year, baby, must see itself in 2026. You nasty piece of crap. Anyway, so that's that. Oh, another dickhead. Farage. I was reading about Farage making some deeply anti-Semitic statements. Deeply shocking, Nigel Farage faces fresh claims of racism and anti-Semitism at school. It is the hectoring tone, the jeering quality in Nigel Farage's voice today that brings it all back for Peter Ettigy. he would sidle up to me and growl, Hitler was right, or gas them, sometimes adding a long hiss to simulate the sound of the gas showers. Etiji, sorry if I mispronounced your name, says of his experience of being in a class with Farage at Dulwich College in South London. Etiji61 is a BAFTA and Emmy-winning director and producer whose credits include Kinky Boots, McQueen, and Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. Back then, when he was a 13-year-old boy at a loss at how to handle what he describes as a sudden and inexplicable intrusion of anti-Semitism in his life. This is the first time Etiji has spoken in such detail of his alleged experiences, but he's not the only one. In recent weeks, The Guardian has heard allegations from more than a dozen school contemporaries of Farage who recount incidents of deeply offensive behaviour throughout his teenage years. This is not the whole picture. Others who knew Farage then remember he was bumptious, rude, provocative, and enjoyed being the centre of attention. Not with teeth like that, he didn't, surely. But do not recall the behaviour described by Etiji and others. There is no claim that Farage the man must still hold the same views as the ones ascribed to Farage the boy, but their memories of him left marks, one that haven't dissolved with the passage of time, dissolved with the passage of time, and are often revealed again when he talks about issues such as immigration. They say they want to see more moral clarity from a man who could be Britain's next prime minister. What is troubling, one explained, is the lack of contrition in the intervening decades. A couple of ex-pupils who have spoken to The Guardian say they are deeply ashamed of their own part in singing racist songs. The question someone answered is, what about Farage? When claims of this kind were first made about him more than a decade ago, Farage admitted saying some ridiculous things, not necessarily racist things. It depends on how you define it. We define it by it's racist. Was it racist? Yes. What do you mean? How do you define it? Was it racist? Yes, it was. Now, though, the man whose party is leading in all major opinion polls and says he expects to be in Downing Street appears to have changed tack. In legal letters to The Guardian, he has emphatically denied saying anything racist or anti-Semitic when he was a teenager. He has also questioned whether there is any public interest in airing allegations that date back over 40 years. Oh, baby, there is. There is. Like, this is a long ass article, but there is. Oh, Nigel, I want to know about it. Like, I actually want to know. I want to know why you're a dickhead. Like, I can't say I don't believe that he said those things, and there should be no place for anti-Semitism in our society, right? So I feel like that needs to be noted, because if this person gets into power, that anti-Semitism, all of those things that he was saying, he's only going to take it up more than a few notches. So something needs to be done from now. And I am disgusted, but not shocked, that Reform are doing so well in the polls, because the Conservatives are idiots and Labour is proving themselves to be, idiots as well. Like, where is the actual opposition? And more people are supporting the Green Party. Cool. Do you let that grow? Yes. But what happened to just like slapping people? Oh, you can't say that. You shouldn't be inciting violence. I'm not. I'm just asking a question. What actually happened to slapping people? Why has that stopped? Because, anyway, maybe no one wants to hear my views. But then again, if we're listening to this podcast, we likely do want to hear my views. But God, let me not say anything before the MI6 come and drag me. But Nigel Farage should not be anybody that anybody else with any sense is voting for. The people of this country, I don't think they understand that he's a Trojan horse. Your hatred, I say this week after week, but your hatred is being used against you to ruin your life. Like, you think, oh, you're going to get this thing, but you're not going to get that thing. Or if you get that thing, what you're going to have to give up to get that thing will be so much worse. Britain isn't going to be better because Farage is in charge. It is not. I promise you it's not. It's going to be your worst freaking nightmare. You lot think you don't have teeth in your mouth now? Ha! You'll just be talking with gums. You wait there. Your dental care gone, health care gone, everything gone. You that like to sleep at the pub, there'll be no one to check your kidney and your liver. You'll be done out. Do it then. And there'll be nowhere to bury you. Come like Blackheath all over again. Have to come and start piling you lot up because you let your hatred get the better of you, and all of your economic infrastructure is gone. Your public sector gone. Public health services gone. Or because I want the immigrants out. I want the immigrants out. If you don't go and find something to do, nonsensical and bombastical. Anyway, Farage, fuck yourself. Anyway, next thing in my news. We're still on my news, by the way. Cloudflare. I think it's so interesting when people are like, oh my God, astrology is not real. So tell me why. Mercury Retrograde always gets the companies, always gets the technological girlies. Cloudflare went down the other day, right? Didn't it? It got caught up in Mercury Retrograde. There is no company, there's no entity that is bigger than the universe. There isn't. Like, whether you want to believe it or not, Meta usually gets got. Cloudflare, definitely, they've now joined in. This is what it says. What is Cloudflare, and why did its outage take down so many websites? And this is also something that we need to discuss, not just the Mercury Retrograde aspect of it, but how so many big companies are buying up so many aspects of our lives. Wait for it. Bet365, League of Legends, Sage, YouTube, and Google were among those taken offline as provider tried to fix problem. How did I know that Cloudflare had gone down? Well, I was doing a one-to-one tarot reading because that's what I do when I'm not doing this sort of stuff and making a podcast. I do tarot readings for people. And what helps me to do a really good tarot reading is if I have somebody's birth chart with it as well. So their astrological birth chart. I need to know your time of birth and your place of birth for us to be able to get this like proper. So anyway, I usually ask people when they've booked in for a tarot reading to put their details into this site and then send me the link so that I can see their chart in real time as I'm doing the reading with them. And so I've started the reading with somebody and I've gone to click, and it's funny enough, they had a Gemini sun, so they're ruled by Mercury, so bound to happen with them. Anyway, I go to click and it's not loading. And I was thinking, well, no, because my internet's working in my flat. So what's going on? It was like Cloudflare, rare. That should be the title. Cloudflare, rare. Anyway, it's not loading. And so after a while, I was like, oh, it's down. But that's so interesting because they seem to be everywhere right now. To me, they popped up out of nowhere, but I'm sure it wasn't nowhere. I'm sure they've been around for a minute. But you have to remember that I stay in my own world a lot. But they popped up out of nowhere, and then I just started seeing them everywhere. And all of a sudden, boom, your site's down. Sucks to be you. But we got the birth chart in the end. I used another site, but I did find that interesting that even like my favorite astrology sites, they went down as well. Everybody's using them, I guess. So Cloudflare is a global cloud service and cybersecurity firm. It provides data centers, website and email security, protection from data loss and defenses against cyber threats, among other things. It describes itself as providing an immune system for the internet with technology that sits between its clients and the wider world that blocks billions of cyber threats daily. Well, one caught you. You got a billion, well, let me know. It also uses its global infrastructure to speed up internet traffic. It makes more than $500 million, that's 440 million pounds a quarter, from nearly 300,000 customers operating in 125 countries, including China. Why does it matter? Well, it is one of the several companies that together form key elements of the nervous system of the internet. And so when its services fail, websites can effectively go offline, affecting millions of people and companies. ChatGPT and Elon Musk's X social media platform were among the sites that appeared to be affected by Tuesday's outage. By one estimate, Cloudflare provides services to 1 in 5 of the world's websites. 1 in 5 of the world's websites. How does one company have all of that power? How? Imagine if I was doing tarot readings for 1 in 5 of the world's companies. That'd be crazy. I'd be laughing, like right into my belly. I'd be laughing. But 1 in 5 of the world's websites. I can't even imagine check right now. How many websites in the world are there? Rough estimate. Go and check right now. Ask one of your search engines. I don't even know. But I know it's crazy. That's scary. And that's what keeps happening. All the power keeps getting concentrated into these spaces. Oh, I know the girls were stressing out when ChatGPT went down. Oh, when Chatty G had to take a nap. Oh, how in the heavens would you write your social media post to get more business, to get people to sign up to your program? How in the heavens would you be able to text back the person that was texting you because you can't think for yourself? Oh, God. Oh, my God. And this is only the beginning. The more concentrated the power gets, the more targeted the attacks will be on them, right? So there's more likelihood that they will go down, and there will come a point where we will lose internet, like even if it's just for a little bit, for a week or a month, we are going to lose the internet, and some people are going to lose their minds. Start thinking now. Do you have friends outside of the internet? You better start getting some. Do you know your neighbors? Because I've been asking this for a while. I said this at the last Say Your Mind live show. I said, do you lot know your immediate area? Do you recognize people? Do they recognize you? Because something's going to happen to social media. Maybe not like one big boom, but like a series of things that's going to fuck up social media, fuck up the internet. And then what are you going to do? Me, I will still find a way to podcast. I'll go and sit on top of a hill and start shouting from the hill. I'll carry a megaphone and start walking up and down the street doing a daily podcast. You can't stop me. The spirit of yapping is in my soul. I will find a way to I'll be like, hear ye. Front page Fxckery. Ha! I'm going to keep going. But you have to start thinking of alternatives because it's getting scary. Anyway. Who else was affected by the outage? Users of several heavy traffic websites reported that they went offline at the same time as the Cloudflare outage. They include the gambling website Bet365, good, the multiplayer battle game League of Legends, and the accounting and payroll company Sage. Oh, I hope you lot got paid on time or got paid more and you don't have to give it back. As well as YouTube and Google, according to Down Detector, a website measuring reports of outages. What went wrong? Cloudflare called it an internal service degradation. It took just under 3 hours from announcing it was investigating the problem to declaring a fix had been implemented and the incident had been resolved at 2:42 p.m. UK time. There may have been a specific link to services in London, as it said that it had to disable an encryption service in the UK capital during its attempts at remediation. It said there had been an unusual spike in traffic to one of Cloudflare's services beginning at 11:20 a.m, but it did not yet know the cause of it. Just say you were hacked. This is all fancy schmancy words for saying that one of the websites that relies on you, them lot got in. They got into that bitch. Say something, but I don't believe you. And it was one of the encrypted sites in London. I bet it was, well, would one of the black market sites use that? Because what if there was like an auction and that was the spike, but then to hide the auction of things that you shouldn't be selling, maybe children, maybe people, women, ammunition, I don't know, codes, nuclear codes, girl, the findings of Madeleine McCann, girl, I don't know. But what if it was one of them things, and to hide it, there had to be like lots of traffic. And then, so you can tell, like, I've just been watching too much too many of these shows, but I don't believe anything that I'm told now. And it's not because, oh, I'm just so cool and so smart. I just have trust issues, but I don't believe it. And you're going to have to show me concrete somethings, because something is not right. On the subject of things not being right, I'm going to come back to this, right? But I think that places, churches, quote unquote, churches like SPAC Nation are funneling money into young business owners in order to use them to groom and to attract young people to join their church. So those young people spend their money, you know, they're gullible, they are vulnerable, right? So people, you know, I keep talking about this thing about people returning to religion, because whenever there's a rise in authoritarianism within the government, you find that people tend to run back to religion in one way, shape or form, because usually the religion mirrors the kind of governmental structure that they are dealing with. So maybe it makes it easier to handle, because then it lets them believe that there's some kind of God ordained reason for the kind of suffering that they're experiencing. So nobody seems to be able to hold SPAC Nation accountable as a very, very weird church that I don't think is a church. It's just a child grooming ring. And I'll say that with my full chest. I don't care if you go there, right? Pastor Toby, no one seems to want to be able to investigate him, but I'm hearing recently that money's been invested into, like, they're sponsoring different kind of like businesses set up by young people. And I'm like, well, of course, because then you have more access to young people to bring them into the church space, brainwash them, and to get them to just be giving money. Our children, young people aren't safe. If it's not them fucking balloons that they're inhaling, or vapes or whatever, is somebody trying to rape them or somebody trying to groom them to get money out of them. Like, it's fucked. It's absolutely fucked. And yet people will just ignore it. It's I don't know. Just keep an eye out, because certain people's gyms that they claim are women only, suddenly they're announcing that, oh, they're born again, or they're, you know, claiming Christ or whatever. We don't speak enough about the red pill ideology that's pervasive in black women. Forget black men, forget men. Black women are being radicalized in weird fucking ways. And so you can see it by the aesthetic that they're going for as well. This whole clean girl aesthetic, this whole thing that they're doing, it is white supremacy in NW45, in shade NW45. And I'm saying it now, but watch out. All the transphobic, nasty rhetoric, we're seeing it becoming even more played out amongst black women. And then surprisingly and mysteriously, they're getting money to be funded for the things that they're doing. And I wonder who is doing the funding, because the secret services don't have to. So I'm sorry, I'm going into it. I must speak my truth. Fuck this. The secret services don't really need to infiltrate the way that they used to, like, finding their way, embedding themselves into environmental groups and, you know, like the spy cops and all of those things. I'm sure those things still go on. And then this whole, you know, all this undercover policing and the such, and I'm going to touch on that again. All of these things, all they need to do is find vulnerable, not even vulnerable, greedy as well, greedy black people who are willing to say and do anything for some coins. And then those people will give them the access that they want to certain things. I don't trust, especially the people who are popping up and like, oh, I've just suddenly got money. From where? From where? What did you do? And people are going there like, oh my God, slay queen. Yes, boss queen. You're all going to suffer there. Your eyes are going to see your fucking ears. Keep moving stupidly. Watch what's going to happen. Not all money is good money. But because all of you want to do luxury life, you want to do soft life, you're fucking things up and you're making it harder for us as a collective down the line. But you no longer believe in collectivism. You don't. Individualism is your bag, and I get it. I get it to a certain degree, but it's scary scenes. On the subject of spy cops and undercover cops, though, one thing I did want to say is that a lot of crime that we see playing out, like, you've got undercover cops who are going to commit crime because they're trying to get evidence against the criminal. And then you've got other people not knowing that somebody's already there who's undercover and they're trying to get a criminal. So they're also, I hit the mic, also doing undercover. So it's, you know, like that Spider-Man meme. So a lot of the crime is essentially being fabricated in order to unearth criminals. But then when you pull the mask off, the criminals are the actual authorities that went deep undercover to expose the criminals. You see how it's a bit crazy? But if I speak, they'll say Kelechi speaking. I just wanted to share that shot in terms of this last bit. What does the outage tell us about the health of the internet? With much of the world's economy reliant on the internet, from banking to e-commerce, the internet from some experts in cyber resilience warn that its infrastructure has become too reliant on a few big companies, creating a dependency chain. The problems at Cloudflare come less than a month after outages at other cloud services operators, Amazon's AWS and Microsoft's Azure. Together with Google Cloud, these three providers account for about 2/3 of the infrastructure underlying the digital world. Experts argue it shows there should be a greater diversity in the supplying of internet services. I agree, but it goes back to what we were saying about the technocracy. All the power is being kind of concentrated and consolidated into one place, and it can't be good for the rest of us if that's the case, because all somebody has to do is get given a lot of money by a particular government and they will fuck a particular country's shit up. I don't know. It just, it feels a bit weird to me. We don't want to be reliant on a few big companies. That rarely ever goes well, does it? So yeah, I just wanted to share that in case any of the girlies were interested. And then man wrongfully jailed, said he was forced to confess. This is my news has been so long, but I wanted to share with you the news I've been seeing throughout the week before I get into the newspapers that I picked up today. So I pray that you will allow me that. Okay, my huns? Okay, let's get into it. A man wrongly jailed for 38 years has spoken of being beaten by police and bullied into making a false murder confession. Peter Sullivan, 68, the same age. So, you know, he's the same age as Timothy Westwood, another 68-year-old. But this 68-year-old should never have been in jail. Tim Westwood, though, we got the wrong 68-year-old. Anyway, Peter Sullivan, 68, the subject of one of the longest miscarriages of justice in British history, said he had lost everything and wanted an apology from Merseyside police. Merseyside police, you have so much to apologise for. Hillsborough, the Hillsborough disaster, you've got so much to apologise for. Sullivan was wrongly convicted in 1987 for the frenzied murder of Diane Sindel, 21, a florist and part-time pub worker who was killed as she left work in Bebington, Merseyside. He had his conviction quashed by the Court of Appeal in May after new DNA tests were carried out. 6 months after his release from jail, Sullivan, in an interview with BBC Northwest, claimed he had been beaten on 2 occasions by police officers in his cell. They threw a blanket over the top of me and they were hitting me on top of the blanket with the truncheons to try and get me to cooperate with them, he said. It really hurt. They were leathering me. Sullivan said he had been denied food, sleep, and the attendance of an appropriate adult, despite police custody records noting he had learning difficulties. Oh, Bab! He claimed he had been told that if he did not confess, he would be charged with 35 other rapes. Sullivan said he was not able to forgive those responsible for his imprisonment. I can't forgive them for what they've done to me because it's going to be there with me for the rest of my life, he said. All I want is an apology with the reason why they done this to me. From Merseyside police and everyone else. I lost all my freedom. I lost my mother since I was put in prison. I lost my father, and it hurts because I wasn't there for them. It had been alleged that Sullivan had spent the day drinking heavily after losing a darts match and went out armed with a crowbar before a chance encounter with Sindel. The shocking murder prompted tabloid headlines about Sullivan being the Beast of Birkenhead and the Wolfman because of the bite marks left on the body. Sullivan said, "The names there always stick with me because I've never been anything like that." Police reopened the murder investigation in 2023 and said the search for the killer was still in progress. To date, 456 men had been screened and eliminated from the investigation, police said. So you're trying to tell me that in the 38 years that my guy was in prison, the actual murderer was out on road? So the actual murderer could even be living in Alicante now, could be living in Zante now. Because he would have long, if he's smart, he would have long fled the UK. And there are so many reasons that this deserves an apology, but also the ableist nature of it, the discriminatory nature to take somebody who has learning difficulties, right, learning disabilities, and then pin a crime on them. Oh no, anybody that was involved that's still alive, guess what I'm going to say? Lift up the floor of the jail, get them under it. Get them under it. Yes, okay, I'm one of the people, I'm some of the, part of the people who believe in abolishing prisons, but whilst they're there, I've got a list of people that need to get under that prison. Absolutely under it. Since you're not using it for rehabilitative measures and it's punitive, I've got a list of people that need to go there. And first in line will be these people, the police officers that did this. And it will be a massive cover up as well. So then people can die and never be held to account. Go and piss on their grave. I'm sorry, I said what I said. That's what needs to happen. I feel tearful even reading this guy's story. Like 38 years of his life stolen. His family gone. Like the world outside, he doesn't know that world. You lot fucked up his life. And this isn't the only person that this sort of thing has happened to. You fuck up people's lives out of ego and wanting to reach quotas and being sensationalist and having, we found the murderer. And now whenever people see that guy's photo, even with the truth being out there, they'll still think of him a particular way. You stole 38 years of somebody's life, gone, stolen. Life was stolen. Oh, now I'll never know. I had to. Kelly Rowland would have wanted me to do that. But no, I'm really upset about that actually. ACAB is what I'm going to say. For those who know, because I'm not saying the letters. What else is here? People still lay flowers at granite memorial stone close to where Sindel was murdered. The memorial reads, murdered 2nd of August 1986, damn, because she was a woman. In the memory of all our sisters who have been raped and murdered, we will never let it be forgotten. Sullivan said he felt sorry for Sindel's family and what they're going through at the moment, where they're back at square one and not knowing who the person is that killed their daughter. I don't know what to say to them. I'm really sorry for what's happened to their daughter. And if they want my support when they go to court with the guy, when they find him, I will go to court with them. I will go to court with them. I will throw a shoe at the guy's head. I will be there by their side 100% because I will be there for them. Oh, Bab. Sullivan, whose identity was hidden in the interview, has yet to receive any compensation. That's crazy. They owe him the whole of Merseyside. You owe this guy money. Take them to the court, bankrupt Merseyside police. Responding to the interview, Merseyside police said it regrets that there has been a grave miscarriage of justice in this case. You don't regret it because you kept it going for years and you did cover up after cover up after cover up. On Sullivan's claim of being beaten and told he would be charged with 35 rapes, the force said, "This is the first time that we are aware that this allegation has come to light, and materials from that time that we have access to do not provide any such details or allegations." Oh, because they were going to write it somewhere, were they? They were just gonna write it that, oh, by the way, we told that one in cell 3-5 that we're gonna beat the shit out of him and we'll pin some other rapes on him as well if he doesn't confess to this one. They were gonna say that. You absolute fucking knobs. Anyway. The force added, we understand the detrimental impact the conviction has had on the life of Mr. Sullivan and do not underestimate the significance of being imprisoned for 38 years on his well-being. We are doing everything we can to find out who the new DNA evidence which formed the basis of his release belongs to. No. That is not all that I thought you were going to say. We're doing all that we can to compensate him. Whilst you're looking for whoever that person is, that person could have been dead by now anyway. Whilst you're looking for who that person is, run Mr. Sullivan his money. Run him his fucking check. 100, I want to say even $1 million for every year that he's been in prison. $1 million for every year. And if you can't do $1 million for every year, I want you to do £300,000 for every year that man has been in prison. You absolute pieces of shit. Fuck. Wow. That's all my news. Let's get into the news, this week's news. So I'm going to start with Southwark News, the independent voice of the borough. We're starting with this one. It says here, the school street debate brought into sharp focus in SE15. I don't know what that's about. Sturge reflects on fine start. Retailers face their last Christmas on the South Bank. Oh, why is that? Camberwell mourns the loss of their beloved cake maker. Is that... do I know where that lady is? Labour turmoil. A week is a long time in politics. 3 councillors resign and cabinet member for housing steps down. Oh, is there a scandal? It seems like it. What's all this then? Southwark's cabinet minister for housing resigns after not having the same licence as Rachel Reeves. Oh! So the girlies have been scamming, huh? Southwark's cabinet member for council housing has resigned after two of his properties, it should say, but it says here after 2 his properties. So let's be checking that grammar, guys. Yeah, I'm always moving words around enough as it is. Let's keep on top of the grammar. You know what? I'm sure my parking is expired by now. What time is it? What time did I get it? Oh, I've probably got a ticket. Anyway, let's continue. It is what it is, child. After 2 of his properties in Peckham were found not to have a selective licence, citing the same reason as the Chancellor of the Exchequer, who also fell foul of the rules last month. Following the national controversy surrounding Chancellor Rachel Reeves's letting agent's failure to obtain the correct letting agent's, the £945 licence to rent out her family home in Dulwich, the Southwark Liberal Democrats contacted us and suggested that Southwark's cabinet member for council housing, Councillor Michael Situ. Oh, this is very interesting. Michael Situ had also not complied with the rules. The Southwark Liberal Democrats said they had investigated and subsequently logged a formal complaint with the council's monitoring officer. We then contacted Southwark Council to ask whether the cabinet member had applied for selective licences on 2 properties in Peckham listed on his register of interests. Days after we put through our request, we were informed by the council that Councillor Shitu, had written to the leader of the council, Sarah King, tendering his resignation as a cabinet member. In the letter dated Thursday, 13th of November, Councillor Shitu explained that he chose to resign from his cabinet post after revisiting his property arrangements in light of the controversy which enveloped the Chancellor last month, and said he found that his letting agent had allowed these properties to be let out without the appropriate licenses. Is this the right picture? Is this Michael Shitu? I'm sorry, I'm going to have a googs. Guys, because I want to know the situation. Oh yeah, that is. Why don't I recognise him? Southwark Labour. Oh, well, for Old Kent Road. Well, maybe next time everyone should help me and then these things won't happen. Anyway, It says here we've read that. Explaining why he decided to resign, instead of simply issuing an apology like the Chancellor did, he said, whilst this is a failure on behalf of my letting agent, these are my properties and I take full responsibility for allowing this situation to arise. In his resignation letter, he writes, in light of recent media scrutiny of Southwark Housing's licensing scheme, I took it upon myself to review my own arrangements as an owner of rental properties in a borough. I have a contractual arrangement with a local letting agent who manage properties on my behalf, which sets out that they are responsible for letting, licensing and maintaining those homes. The homes that I own have always been properly declared publicly in my register of interests. However, it has come to my attention that despite their contractual obligations, the letting agent has allowed these properties to be without the appropriate licenses at various points, and that the agent's accounts have fallen into council tax arrears. People are just going to say what they want to say. But I come back to the fact that if you lot are the ones who have all of the responsibility around in the UK, but specifically in this case in Southwark, and you are fucking up the base, how are you expecting everyday people to also know the ins and outs? I feel like there should be a major clear out of all of the councillors. That's just how I feel. Because I see corruption everywhere, and I write it in my emails to them all the time. Corruption is absolutely everywhere, and it sickens me. Because how are you corrupt and stupid all at the same time? So stupid, you lot don't know how to cover your tracks at all. Just useless. Southwark Labour has been rocked by a series of resignations after 3 of its councillors called time on their party membership in the space of a single week. On Sunday, Councillor Darren Merrill informed his North Walworth constituents on Facebook that he had chosen to resign the party whip, joining suspended Labour councillors Ketsia Harper and Sam Foster, who also threw in the towel last Wednesday. All 3 had already said they would not be standing in next May's local elections. Merrill, who was first elected to the council in 2010, said he had decided to resign from the party in a bid to make a stand against the direction this government is pulling the country in. It came amid reports over the weekend of Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood's plans to bring in a raft of tougher measures designed to crack down on illegal immigration, including a visa ban on nations which refuse to take back criminals and illegal immigrants, and an overhaul of some aspects of human rights legislation to facilitate migrant deportations. Alluding to his unease with the immigration reforms, Merrill, who was Southwark's cabinet member for council homes for almost 2 years until he resigned to spend more time with his family in January 2024, went on, the rhetoric coming from the National Party capitulating to the far right is the one thing I cannot forgive the national leadership for. We talk about having zero tolerance on racial hate, but when it comes to the message the government is projecting, it's the opposite of this. Moving policy to the right to quieten the hateful right is not the way to go. This will only normalise the hatred, alienating these hardworking individuals that are part of our community, that have been tough, that should say through things, but it says though things that we cannot imagine. Guys, Southwark News, you're doing great work. Like to read your bits? Let's get that spell check and grammar on, okay? Yes. In Southwark alone, Merrill's resignation makes him the 3rd councillor to quit the party in just 1 week, after suspended councillors Ketsia Harper and Sam Foster also announced they would be resigning the whip. The scathing statement by Harper and Foster paints a picture of a hostile, divisive culture within the Labour Party where independent or dissenting voices are crushed. Both councillors had been outspoken critics of the handling of Southwark Labour's leadership election in July, which saw the local group churn through 3 leaders in just a week after James McCash's victory was overturned and rerun online under the orders of the regional party. It's a mess. Labour is a mess. I don't know how to tell the girls. Labour is a mess. And that's why the people them are resigning. Because what do you actually mean? Anybody that speaks out that says, hey, do we realise that this is some bullshit that we're doing? Oh, you get out. You get out. Because sense, they're allergic to sense. Don't try and make sense here. I always start I always start with the Daily Fail, but this week I started with Southwark News, so don't take that as any sort of messaging, because I usually start with the trash, but Southwark News is not trash. I just started with it by accident, basically. But let's get to the actual trash. The Daily Mail. None of my 4 children want me this Christmas. Oh, sorry about that, girl. Here's how I'm taking revenge. Oh, allow it. COVID inquiry. The verdict. Betrayal of our children. Daily Mail front page for those who want to see. Oh, my camera is so crisp and clear. Big up me. Lockdowns brought ordinary childhood to a halt and could have been avoided. Childhood was brought to a halt by draconian COVID lockdowns, the damning official inquiry found yesterday. Young lives were blighted, even though the vast majority of children were immune to the deadly virus, it added. Their education and well-being was sacrificed to save their elders. Anyway, in her highly critical report, Baroness Hallett, chairman of the COVID-19 inquiry, said closing schools and nurseries in early 2020 were steps taken to protect the adult population. They brought ordinary children and ordinary childhood to a halt. She added, for most children, the closure of schools, the inability to what? How Royal Meghan still asked to be announced as she enters the room, even when there's only one person in it. Oh, leave this girl alone, for fuck's sake. 1 in 8 viewers don't pay BBC fee. Good. Weren't able to see friends, and the requirement to stay at home were of profound consequence. Teachers and parents are now struggling with children who are slow to pass key milestones due to the huge impacts of the unprecedented 2020 shutdown. In a landmark report into the devastating effects of the pandemic, Lady Hallett concluded, tens of thousands who died from COVID could have been saved if the lockdown had been imposed 7 days earlier. The lockdowns of 2020 and 2021 could have been avoided altogether. Scientists, civil servants, ministers, and the devolved governments all failed to react fast enough. Britain could have escaped the COVID devastation, but ministers did too little too late. Number 10 advisor Dominic Cummings was a toxic and destabilizing influence. Where is Dominic Cummings now with his egghead? Where is he? He looks like one of those birds, you know, the birds that have, is it a bald-headed eagle? It looks like one of them. Anyway, was a destabilizing influence as Downing Street grappled with the crisis. Boris Johnson should have appreciated sooner that this was an emergency that required prime ministerial leadership. Last night, Jacob Rees-Mogg, who served in the cabinet throughout the pandemic, said the inquiry was right to conclude that children had been let down. He told the Daily Mail, my view was that once we knew that children were at no risk from COVID, we had no right to stop them socialising. It would have been much more sensible to allow the vulnerable to shield themselves and allow children to lead normal lives. How would that work? Like, how would that work? Would it be like, was it The Tribe? Across the darkness, a light shines, burning through the coldest nights, and we can find our way. Together we'll make it. Did you watch that on Channel 5? It's called The Tribe, innit? Where all the adults are dead and the children, teenagers, whatever, they live and survive, and then there were the mole rats. Was it the mole rats? Anyway, I think it was called The Tribe. I'm sure in every podcast I have in my life, I at least mention this show. I mentioned this show at least once. But I want to know, logically speaking, how would this have worked? Do the children not interact with adults? Do they not go back home? So the virus doesn't stay in their airways, right? They go home, and the virus is not, even though it's not affecting them, as you claim, they could just go into their homes and the adults wouldn't be affected. Oh God, I can't even be asked. Is Victoria Beckham planning to sell her $100 million fashion brand? I like her feet. I don't know if she got them specially broken or whatever, but she's got such a high instep. She's got cute legs, Victoria Beckham. Big up her. there's something about the way that the Daily Mail's written that I just feel like, should we have a situation where we do need for people to stay in their fucking homes in the future, essentially it's been undermined, because it's like, oh, well, you don't need to, just let you're all cussing out Boris because Boris didn't take action enough or soon enough. But essentially what you're saying that he didn't take action soon enough to do is what you're saying shouldn't have been done, because then children couldn't do this, that and the other. I don't know. Maybe you can better explain it to me, because I know that there are some of you who don't even believe that COVID exists, and that the lockdown shouldn't have happened, or the lockdowns shouldn't have happened. I don't know. There's sometimes when I actually just don't have a view. The Daily Telegraph now, talking about the rise of Shabana Mahmood. If the Daily Telegraph is bigging you up, you have moved to the right. Like, you are of the right wing. Monty Panesar, I may be thick, but at least I'm not a cheat. Something to do with cricket, I hope, not marriage. The 200 million pound COVID I told you so. Costliest inquiry in British history tells us what we already know. Lockdown was not necessary. Are British people okay? Is the British media all right? What do you mean the lockdowns weren't necessary? This is the conclusion that we're coming to? Not that the average person doesn't know how to wash their hands. The conclusion that we are coming to is that lockdown was not necessary. Okay, then. The COVID inquiry has been branded a £200 million waste of money after concluding that lockdowns could have been avoided entirely. Baroness Hallett, the inquiry chairman, said in the report that in future, restricting people's liberty in such a draconian fashion with all the devastating consequences should be avoided if at all possible. After examining 180,000 documents and hearing from 166 witnesses during 69 days of hearings across the UK, Lady Hallett also confirmed that school closures damaged children's education, and that the Treasury failed to consider the economic impact of lockdown. Her 800-page report also claimed that 23,000 lives would have been saved had Boris Johnson ordered a lockdown a week earlier than he did in March 2020, citing data from Professor Neil Ferguson, the discredited former government scientist. The inquiry, which Mr. Johnson announced in 2021, has cost 191 million so far, having produced just 2 of 10 reports, the last of which is not expected to be published until 2027. The final cost is expected to top £208 million, making it the most expensive inquiry in British legal history. Professor Carol Shikora, a leading oncologist who was critical of lockdowns, described the report as a £200 million I told you so. It has no scientific credibility at all, just lots of pretty ignorant lawyers and ex-politicians milking the system for fame, fortune and glory. What we really need is a serious analysis of the decisions between 2020 and 2022 and how they impacted on society and how they still do for disadvantaged groups. We can learn from the past, but not in this way. I don't know. I don't know. None of it sits right with me, and I can't quite tell you why just yet. Maybe it will click for me in a few hours, but none of it sits right with me. I agree that some of the way that everything was done was an absolute shit show. I agree with that and could have been done differently. Instead of governing the country, instead of leading the country, guiding the country at such an, as they said, unprecedented time, Boris was busy cheating, as he does. What's his name? Hancock. What's his first name? You know, anyway, Hancock. He was busy lip-syncing the face of his mistress and rubbing her back, because that wasn't her bum. It was just it was an extended back. Caught on camera. It was really a wild time. Really, really a wild time, and everybody's just gone on to get different jobs and continuing as they are. Like nobody was actually running the country. Rishi Sunak was telling us to eat out to help out, and some people thought that meant, you know, licking minge. I don't know, but people weren't doing the work that they needed to do, and this is why we are where we are. I don't know. You let me know what you think, because I know that some of you have very strong opinions about COVID, but I don't really. My issue with COVID, my issue with lockdown really was about how it affected people's mental health and how that hasn't been dealt with. Up till now, it still hasn't been dealt with. Is Shabana Mahmood going to go for party leadership at some point, or what? Because they're really pushing her, like some kind of Preeti Patel, and they've used AI to do this image of her to airbrush it. The unstoppable rise of Shabana Mahmood. There's something about it that I think they're trying to push for something. And you know they love a brown or black face to do the worst parts of the nasty things that need to be done in this country. Middle class families face unlimited council tax increase. Okay. Families in affluent neighbourhoods are facing unlimited council tax rises under plans to funnel more cash into Labour supporting towns. Again, like the way that these things are written, you just know it's going to be some bullshit. Putin welcome back in G7 under Trump peace plan. Russia will be freed from Western sanctions, rejoin the G7 and take back the majority of its frozen assets under Donald Trump's peace plan for Ukraine, the Telegraph can reveal. The 28-point plan, which has been drawn up by American and Russian officials in secret, would halve the size of Ukraine's army, ban it from owning long-range missiles, and shut down its most effective fighting units. Vladimir Putin will walk away with full ownership over the Donbas regions of Donetsk and Luhansk, as well as international recognition over his long-term occupation of Crimea, the peninsula he seized through force in 2014. The Russian president will also be welcomed back into the G7, making it the G8 as well, and see all Western sanctions against his country lifted and be given an economic boost in the shape of an Arctic exploration deal with the US. Sources in Kiev are heavily critical of Ukraine's Western partners, especially Britain, for not coming out to condemn the proposal. Under the agreement, Russia will be handed back about 2/3 of the 300 billion euros in frozen assets seized worldwide. The remaining 100 billion euros will be used for rebuilding projects across Ukraine. The US will take half of the profits from the US will take half the profits from these projects. America is robbing the world. My God, America is actually robbing the girls. Wow. Imagine instigating fuckery through your secret service and then turning around and saying that you're the one helping to come up with the peace deal, and then you're going to chop money on top. Yay. Wow. Life is sweet for the US. Sweet for the US government. The proposal says Crimea, Luhansk and Donetsk will be recognized as de facto Russian. Kherson and Zaporizhzhia, I did all right with that, will be frozen along the line of contact, which will mean de facto recognition. The deal prevents Ukraine from any attempt to reclaim these territories by military force after any ceasefire. Despite the publication of the peace plan, a Russian strike in Zaporizhzhia last night killed at least 5 people, because Putin was like, you can say what you want, I'm still going to do what I'm doing. Like, nobody can cross it. Nobody's going to stop me. And I feel like it's a farce to keep trying to implement these things, thinking that you're going to do anything to that guy. He's going to do what he wants to do. The Guardian says here, too little, too late. It's just too little, too late. Because we got COVID. The UK's response to COVID was too little, too late. A damning official report on the handling of the pandemic has concluded, saying imposing a lockdown even 1 week earlier could have saved more than 20,000 lives. The document also has stinging criticism of a toxic and chaotic culture inside Downing Street. I could have told you that, which it said the then Prime Minister Boris Johnson embraced. It was an environment where the loudest voices held sway and women were sidelined, the report said. It also said there would have been loss of life on a scale that was unconscionable and unacceptable if the lockdowns had not been imposed at all. That's interesting. So here you're saying that the lockdown should have been imposed in The Guardian, but you see how the two right-wing papers that I read, they were like, well, no, they chose the part of the report apparently that said, oh, you know, children should have been out and the old people, you tell them to fuck off and they should have gone and hid under a rock somewhere and sorted themselves out. You see how depending on what you read, you just get a different perspective on it, because what The Guardian is saying would probably have been the part of the report that I would have probably picked out. This is why I was just like, this isn't looking right in the light. It's not really sitting with me. But yeah, anyway. Zelensky in cautious response to peace plan. The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said yesterday he would negotiate with Donald Trump on a US-backed peace plan that called on Kiev to make painful concessions in order to end the Kremlin's invasion of his country. Zelensky's office confirmed he had received the draft peace plan, which was prepared by US and Russian officials, and that he would speak to Trump in the coming days about existing diplomatic opportunities and the main points that are necessary for peace. Last night, Zelensky reiterated that Ukraine will do nothing to disrupt any diplomatic efforts. Ukraine needs peace, and Ukraine will do everything so that no one in the world can say we are upending diplomacy. He's really trying to dance to the tune that Trump is playing, not realizing that you're dancing to the tune of a madman. He will change the beat on you at any time. He will change that melody on you at any time. And it's the way that he makes all of these people backup dancers. It's crazy to me. Like, who even is Trump? He's a madman, but clearly they're answering to the power behind and above Trump, because this is crazy. And then for Zelensky to say, well, why isn't Britain saying anything to condemn the issues? Britain is but an island, my G. Britain is but an island. All it takes is one boom, boom, pium, pium, and everything is sinking. Everything's going underwater. We don't have the volume. We shouldn't have the volume that we have on the world stage. And yet we keep yapping anyway. Crazy. Ministers tell Farage to respond to racism claim. Cabinet ministers have described detailed and multiple allegations of teenage racism by Nigel Farage as repulsive and repeated the Prime Minister's call for him to address the claims. Liz Kendall, the Secretary for Science, Innovation and Technology, said she was appalled by the accounts reported by The Guardian. The Welsh Secretary, Joe Stevens, asked how far the Reform UK leader had changed his views. People can form their own judgment on what kind of character he is, Stevens said. The Guardian has now heard testimony from about 20 individuals who claim they either witnessed or were victims of abusive behaviour by Farage at Dulwich College in the late 1970s and early 1980s. Aides to the Reform leader dismissed the allegations as being entirely without foundation and claimed they were one person's word against another. Well, then tell us your word, boo-boo. Tell us your word. The final paper here, we've got the scammer that is, the world is just full of scammers. The scammer that is Stephen Bartlett, up close and personal with the star guest of the new series of our podcast, Brave New World. I don't know what people go to Stephen Bartlett to hear. I don't know what sense people are expecting to get from him. He's just very smart. Not very smart, I take that back, but he's very cunning in that he managed to find a little niche for himself, be this self-styled successful man, and people just bought into it, and nobody questioned how he apparently got this wealth that they couldn't account for until he actually started making the wealth. But who am I to talk? He's got 13.6 million subscribers to his YouTube channel. So clearly people love him. Stephen Bartlett, launch guest for the new season of Standard proprietor Evgeny Lebedev's podcast, Brave New World, on bringing a CEO mindset to the masses and why failing is good. I don't want to read that. I bought it and I'm looking at it like, that's from the London Standard, by the way. I actually don't care enough to want to read any of his brain rot. What I was going to say, though, is that I didn't realize Rupert Murdoch had married again. He's on to like, what, wife number 4 or 3? I just went down this rabbit hole and I just found it so interesting. That man is what, 98? And you're still marrying. Your eyes can still, your konkolo is still standing up. You're still looking for women at your age. And the woman is in her, I've forgotten her name, but she's in her 60s or something. I mean, I'm not one to, get your money, get your money, boo. Do what you're doing. But that whole world is so weird. And like, what does his prenup look like? Like, what will she get when he inevitably, heads on down that escalator? Like, what does she get? The guy's empire means he can just do anything, because would she ordinarily marry him if he wasn't this billionaire? Would she ordinarily marry somebody like that? And look, Murdoch, Rupert, if Rupee Roops, if you're watching this, I don't know why you would be, but give me money. Okay? That's all I'll say. Just give me money. I can also create a media empire, right? One that maybe has integrity, and I'll position the mic in such a way that I won't keep hitting it. But give me money, since you're just throwing it about. Why not? Anyway, that is that. For a long bloody episode, I think it's going to be, it must be a long one. But thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Front Page Fuckery, where I go through all of these things. I know I covered a large amount of news today. Fuck me. But hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be back hopefully next week, if God wills it. I'll see you then. And yeah, I've been Kelechi Okafor, and this has been Front Page Fuckery, turning bad news into great conversation. And yeah, you can follow, I was going to say you can follow me on the socials, but I'll reactivate tomorrow my socials at Kalechnikov, obviously. So I'll reactivate, and yeah, check out my site. In the meantime, if you want some extra loving from me, you can join the members area of my website on KelechiOkafor.com. The members area is called Kaleidoscope, where I'm talking about all of some other things to do with the spiritual, and it's got like my little video blog on there as well if you want to know about my day-to-day bits. But yeah, that's it, I guess. I hope you're well, friend, and I guess, yeah, I'll catch you on the other side of the news. Peace.
Oh, have you heard the news? It's probably been twisted to keep the general population conflicted. Better lick your finger and turn the page. Dissect the lines that made you to rage. Get out of your Monday drudgery. Turn up the volume on Front Page Fuckery.